He looked at her, and in a split second, his decision was made. Passion it was then. He took her hand and led her through the gardens, hoping to reach his palace soon. Anya stepped on a twig and yelped. Giroux was walking so fast that she had to trot behind him. He suddenly stopped and looked at her leg. Thankfully, her skin had not been broken. He swooped her into his arms and continued to walk. In the Golden Palace, he met Thancred, who did not even flinch at the situation. Giroux took Anya straight to his bedchambers and let her stand on her feet. Anya looked around the dimly lit room. Behind her was a large bed with dark oak wood covered with white and gold sheets. On top of the bed at the head were the Emperor's two facing dragon daggers. Not many women had entered and shared the Emperor's private bedchambers. "You are not having second thoughts, are you?" he asked, unsure. Anya dropped the robe and cloak which was covering her body and stood naked while Giroux admired her anew. Her hair was still wet, but the warm room made her forget that fact. She had never been with a man before. She wondered if she should do something, but was not left to wonder long when Giroux walked away to get a cloth and started to dry her hair. He looked down into her eyes, which were large with uncertainty and nerves. He had never seen that look in Anya's eyes. "Have you ever been with a man, Anya?" he asked slowly, and she immediately shook her head. He released his breath. "Of course," he muttered under his breath, stepped back, then pensively looked into the fire grate. Anya cleared her throat. "There must be more to it than this, obviously. Sire, I might be a virgin, but I am sure there is more we need to do for us to have sex. I was hoping you might pulverize my cunt," she said the lady part, unsure. She had heard the words once when she was passing near a brothel, and a whore was shouting for customers willing to do the pulverization. Giroux turned to look at her immediately. The last words left her mouth, an amused expression on his face while a mortified one was on hers. Anya looked away from his piercing gaze to look for her robe when his deep voice stopped her. "Come here," he bid her. Anya walked to him slowly, unaware of how seductive her hips were swaying, and stopped only when she was right in front of him. "Help me out of these clothes," he ordered, his voice a deep, seductive timbre. Anya reached for his buttons, and slowly the layers of his clothing fell off until he was standing in his breeches only. There was an unmistakable bulge in front of him. Her eyes drifted away from it to his well-toned, muscled stomach, and then to his well-defined, lightly haired chest, then back to his bulge. He sat on the chair near the fire and took off his boots. Then he drew her to straddle him. Anya hovered over him, and he claimed her mouth once more while grabbing the behind he had admired greatly when she was standing by the water. She released a purr-like moan that traveled straight from his ears to his cock. A wetness gathered between Anya's legs that she had never experienced before, a hunger growing at the pit of her belly, and a need to be filled. Giroux lightly ran his fingers between her nether lips, and she ground into it, throwing her head back in pleasurable abandon while he kissed her neck and caressed her wet inner lips, finding the pleasure bean with his fingers. Ladies in Dunbria were taught to be quiet lovers. That was not the case with Anya. She screamed her pleasure for the whole world to hear. "Get up," he told her, and she reluctantly did, frustrated that the pleasure she was experiencing had been cut short. Giroux quickly disposed of his breeches, and Anya stood awestruck at the size of his member. She knew how sex worked but highly doubted his cock would be able to fit in her. She knew her size down there. Giroux smiled at her astonishment. "It is not too big, believe me, I will fit you." Anya still looked at him disbelieving. "You liked what my fingers did to you?" he asked, and she nodded. "Then this will be better," he said while leading her to his bed. She lay down, and he covered her with his body, kissing her neck then traveling to her nipples and urging her legs to open wider and raise higher. His invasive member sat at her lower lips, gently rubbing into her wetness and taking her back to her earlier pleasure. Giroux placed his cock at her entrance and slowly drove in until he met her maidenhead. Anya already felt filled and released her breath. This was not so bad. Giroux continued to kiss her and then thrust forward, breaking her barrier, and she gasped in pain that was quickly receding. "That's it, now it's all pleasure," he promised, and slowly began to move in her. Anya smiled happily, shutting her eyes and enjoying the feeling, wondering how she had lived all this long and been missing out on such pleasure. Her mouth was open, and satisfied moans were coming out of it, letting her lover know that she was enjoying everything he was doing. Giroux looked at Anya below him, lips parted, and head thrown back. Her hands were lightly holding onto his biceps. Her cunt was a tight fist around his cock. He was close, but he knew he had to make Anya reach paradise with him. He grabbed her hips while his hand moved between their bodies, reaching and starting to rub her pleasure bean. An overwhelming feeling of a building explosion spread in Anya's body, and her eyes opened. "Sire, please stop. I will blow up," she begged. "Let go, Anya, I will catch you," he urged, and she shut her eyes while the tiny explosive death spread in her. Deep where Giroux was, she felt a warmth spread in her, his warmth. After a while, he pulled out and lay next to her, catching his breath. "Who is that?" Female voices whispered among themselves. Anya opened an eye, and she could see that the sun was about to rise. The Mauve Palace would miss her, but her body was fully used up, and besides, when she left last night she didn't plan on going back. His Majesty had her 3 more times before he left for his office late at night, or was it very early in the morning? She couldn't tell. "She is His Majesty's slut, that's what she is," the other female voice said. Anya didn't bother to correct them because she knew what she was, a woman he took to bed last night. The word of her being his slut would spread all over the Mauve Palace before the concubines and ladies' maids rose from bed. That was her plan anyway. "Who is it anyway?" one voice asked again. "Who knows? Maybe some prostitute he picked up last night at the theater." Anya couldn't have them thinking that she was a random slut. She turned from her belly position of sleep onto her back. Her body was still naked, and the 2 women gasped. Her eyes were still closed. "It is Lady Ivetta's handmaid. She caused trouble months ago here," another one whispered. The door softly opened, and another voice whispered, "Could you 2 hurry up and be done?" The voice chastised. Anya knew that voice. Olivia. Olivia hoped the foolish maids would be done soon and leave His Majesty's chambers. Then she gasped when she saw the person sprawled naked on His Majesty's bed, in his sheets. "Anya, get out, all of you," she whispered, and Anya was left alone once more. Olivia, on the other hand, looked like she had seen a ghost. This was not good. Not good at all. Anya can't be in His Majesty's bed. Had she been a concubine or lady-in-waiting, there would have been no problem, but His Majesty could not take on any more, as his harem was filled. As things were standing, Anya was simply a light skirt in His Majesty's bed. Olivia stopped walking and fanned herself. Marjorie would be so upset with her. She had begged her to look after her little sister, but Olivia had hardly seen or inquired about Anya since the day she was released by His Majesty. But now she appeared again, in his bed this time. This was not good. Thancred met Olivia looking flustered in the corridors of the Golden Palace. "Are you well?" he asked stoutly. He had an idea why she might be in this state. He knew the woman currently in His Majesty's bed. Olivia straightened herself. She might have failed her friend, but at least she should have the guts to deliver the news to her friend face to face. "Yes, quite so, sir. I was wondering if I could take a few hours off tomorrow. There is a personal matter I would like to resolve," she asked. Thancred looked at her and nodded. "Inform the head housekeeper, but you are to be back before noon. Have them prepare a bath for His Majesty's guest, and send over a seamstress to make some appropriate clothing for her," he said, and went into His Majesty's office holding new correspondence without looking at the uncomfortable expression on Olivia's face. "I would hate to be the one to tell you this, Your Majesty, however, you need to rest." Giroux took a sip of his ground coffee. "No, Thancred, you very much enjoy telling me what to do, but I decline your offer. I have a council meeting going to happen soon. I need to be ready," he said. "Much wiser choice, sire, as opposed to spending the rest of the day with the beautiful young woman in your bed," Thancred reminded him. Giroux had forgotten about Anya while going through the pile of correspondence. He remembered what they did a majority of last night and early in the morning, and he sat back in his seat with a smile. "Is His Majesty probably thinking about my suggestion?" Thancred said, raising an eyebrow while gathering the answered correspondence. "I am hoping she is being taken care of well," he said, the smile dropping from his face. He was wondering where he would place Anya. He can't give her any place in his harem right now. "She is, sire. You have nothing to worry about," Thancred answered. Anya stepped out of the tub and was covered with a white drying cloth. None of the maids could even look her in the eyes. Their false show of respect was contrary to what they were thinking about her. Olivia entered, a displeased look on her face. "You can leave. I will take care of Miss Anya," she said. She waited until the 2 maids left, and Anya went to where His Majesty's clothes were kept and pulled out his chamber silk brocade robe with the dragon daggers at the back. The only woman allowed to wear the golden dragon daggers emblem is the Empress. Olivia's jaw dropped speechless, and Anya sat in a chair in front of her. "I think my hair is tangled. Would you help me with it?" she asked. Olivia spluttered. She had watched Anya grow up. How audacious had the little girl with the large, innocent eyes who would follow her and Marjorie grown. "What on earth, Anya? What are you doing here?" she finally asked. "Isn't it obvious? His Majesty and I spent the whole night together. He deflowered and fucked me a majority of the night," she plainly answered. 2 red dots appeared on Olivia's cheeks. "Do you have to be so vulgar, Anya? Do you know what they are calling you now? I'm sure at this time everyone knows Lady Ivetta's handmaid woke up in His Majesty's bed. His Majesty's slut, Golden Palace whore, Imperial slut." Anya calmly listed the possible names she had been given. "Imperial slut," Olivia said, annoyed while combing Anya's hair. "I like that one better," Anya said with nonchalance. All Olivia did was look on with shock, not knowing what more to say. Maybe Marjorie would knock some sense into her little sister. Another maid knocked and walked in. "Your breakfast is ready, Miss Anya," she said while also looking down. "Thank you, Ella," Olivia said, dismissing the maid. Anya walked out of the bedchamber into His Majesty's private living area. A table was laid out with food, and she sat to eat, enjoying being waited on. Two maids stood, watching her under lowered lashes, shocked at how she was flaunting around in His Majesty's personal chamber robes, completely and obviously naked underneath, as evidenced by the robe slipping on her shoulder. Olivia came in, bringing Madame Frida in with two seamstresses. The eyes of the two almost bulged out in shock. Shay and Lena were not expecting to find Anya here, to be serving Anya. The three seamstresses bowed when she stood up. "Miss Anya, Madame Frida and her two assistants are here to take your measurements for new gowns," Olivia said, and ordered the two maids to clear the table and leave the room. Madame Frida maintained a calm face, but inside she was bursting. She wrote down a few things on paper for the two seamstresses. "Go to the stores department and request those bolts of material. I will bring Miss Anya's measurements soon. Arrange a good team to prepare for the task ahead." Shay and Lena nodded to Madame Frida and hesitantly bowed to Anya before scurrying out of the room. "This was not part of the plan, Anya," she chastised. The girl had really gone too far this time. The plan was not working. I couldn't gain access to the Pearl Palace just being a maid. I was far below Her Highness's notice, she whispered back. "But this, Anya, you are just his." Madame Frida tried to look for a better word to use than whore or slut but came up blank. "How will you gain revenge like this? If you lose your self-respect, will your father, mother, and brother be proud of you if they saw you trying to get to their killers like this?" "Needs must," Anya said. "Needs must what?" Olivia walked into the room, shocked with what she just overheard. "Anya, is that why you entered the Marble Palace? To get revenge for your father and Milo?" Anya did not realize Olivia might overhear, or anyone for that matter. "I don't know what you speak of, Olivia," she stubbornly refused. Olivia walked next to Anya and grabbed her arm. "I know what I heard, and I heard everything. Are you some kind of stupid? If what you say is true that the killer is in the Pearl Palace, and I pray to the gods it is not the dowager behind it, because your days are numbered, not only in this palace, Anya, but on earth, I am ready to go to the pits of hell to avenge my family. Do you expect me to sit and let them get away with it? There must be another way, Anya." "There isn't, and besides, I do not expect you to understand. You still have everyone you love." "I lost the man I love," Olivia defended herself, then held her tongue. She looked away for her slip. A silence ensued. "You and Milo?" Anya asked, thinking back. Olivia did always enjoy it when Milo was around. But Olivia was engaged to someone else, even when Milo was alive. "I am betrothed to someone else," she whispered. "Henry was a good, noble man. He loved her, and it was not fair to him. In a few months, she will be released from her service to the crown and will get married to him." Olivia had been sure that night that Milo had left sober. She paid special attention to him that night of the banquet. "What happened that night?" Anya asked quietly. Olivia let go of Anya and looked elsewhere. "I told you what happened," she said. She couldn't remember what lie she told Anya that day in the market. "Olivia, don't you dare hide my brother's last moments on earth from me." Olivia turned and looked at Anya, tears filling her eyes. "We slipped out during the celebration, and we were together." Olivia paused, remembering the night, the passion and longing they had shared. "We were together, and he left. I was to break up my betrothal to Henry, but Milo died," she confessed. The huge burden she had been carrying was finally being released. Her heart breaking all over again. Iveta swept the table clean after Solove whispered the rumors going around. She had been wondering where the foolish girl had gone to last night. Not in her wildest dreams did she think this would have been the case. A loud, frustrated scream left her. Solove stood aside, watching her ladyship lose her mind. The news had shocked the entire inner and outer palace, especially those who knew Anya. Solove looked at her mistress's bleeding hand and was struck with concern. "My lady," Solove began. "Shut up!" Iveta screeched loudly. The lady's maid stood back quietly, watching her tear-streaked mistress, who was standing in the middle of broken plates and food. "I asked you to watch that bitch," Iveta said in a low, calm voice. Solove cringed. She had been watching Anya, and knowing she worshipped the moon goddess, she didn't find it strange that the wench had asked to leave the Mauve Palace to go to the pool. Solove had hoped she would drown in the freezing water and never come back, but alas, she was now in the Golden Palace receiving His Majesty's attention. "I am sorry, my lady. I have failed you once more," Solove admitted. "Yes, you have," Iveta said. "Have them clean this up and ask a physician to immediately come to bandage me," she said, going into her bedchambers. The lady's maid released a breath. At least her lady's anger was toward her breakfast and not her. The news about Anya continued to spread throughout the palace. For a majority of the lady's maids, it was met with shock and a shrug. The harem was full. That was a known fact, and His Majesty was a strict follower of laws. They did not see him breaking the centuries-old laws of the number of concubines an emperor ought to have. For some, they saw an opportunity to torment Iveta. Iveta was in the garden doing a flower arrangement when Anila walked into the Mauve Palace compound. As she expected, the vultures had come to feast, but not today. "Good day, Lady Anila, and welcome to the Mauve." Iveta put up a cheerful countenance. A smirk covered Anila's face. "Good day? Indeed," she said while looking around, as if trying to make sure Anya was really not there. "Please sit with me," Iveta invited. Immediately Anila sat down. She got to the main reason she went to visit her fellow concubine. "Sister, terrible news I received today. And from a girl you took in. Terrible things these girls do." She showed her mock concern. "Indeed, you can't seem to trust anyone in this palace," Iveta agreed, and 3 sedan chairs entered the Mauve Palace. Already she could tell. Ainor, Ava, and Lila. This would be a long afternoon for her. When the 3 ladies sat down, Ava turned to Lucia. "My lady's maid told me something interesting about your treacherous lady's maid." She nodded to Lucia, who stepped forward. "Anya has always been an overreaching wench. She was bound to pull this off one time or another. Her and I entered the palace at the same time. She bullied all the seamstresses to no end. His Majesty is a wise ruler and will be done with her before the sun sets today," Lucia said, happy to be able to speak in front of such fine ladies. Anila laughed out loud. "Oh, how delightful, Ava. You taught your parrot well. His Majesty's interest in Anya goes further back. Among all of us, she seems to have achieved something none of us have." "Which is?" Lila asked. She came to offer genuine support to her friend. "Spend the whole night in His Majesty's bedchambers." "No, Anya is not going anywhere," Anila reasoned. "Is that so?" Ainor muttered. "It is so, Your Highness. Anya is getting a position in the harem soon. I just wonder who will be kicked out to make way for her." Anila shared her thoughts. She was one of the first concubines to hear this news and had been thinking about it the whole morning. Maybe it is someone with a family member who has already displeased His Majesty. "Last night was magical, don't you think, Lady Anila? To think if your uncle showed competence, such as the Urani woman did, last night would be a regular night." Ava drew the first blood in the match. "Yes, my uncle was the most incompetent fool, but if I wasn't busy being pregnant and giving His Majesty a child, I would have paid more attention. I hope since you still remain childless, Lady Ava, you keep a close eye on your family." Anila bit back. Ava smiled back. "Oh, Lady Anila, I am young and only been in the Marble Palace for less than a year. I have many children ahead in my future." Lila raised an eyebrow. "Well, I would like to see who will be with child first between you and the Urani maid." "Those are fresh words coming from someone who still remains childless after 5 years in the harem," Ava snapped back with a smile at Lila. His Majesty's visits had been scarce to non-existent these past weeks. "My gold is on Anya. His Majesty has never spent a whole night with you, has he, Lady Ava?" Iveta defended her friend Lila. She knew the struggles Lila had gone through in the past with her failed pregnancies. "You are the one to speak for Anya, Lady Iveta, when the girl went and spent the night with His Majesty after he publicly showed you affection and let you ride with him in his carriage last night. It seems you can't keep a close eye on your servants. His Majesty should have had you whipped for your incompetence and not the servants last time," Ava said, claws sharpened. Iveta was overcome with rage, though she kept a passive face and composure. All she wanted to do was flip the table. Anila clicked her tongue. My, Lady Ava, you are feisty today. Lack of sex usually did that to people. Have you tried self-pleasure?" she mocked. Ava dropped her jaw at what Anila suggested. "Going back to the important topic, I doubt anyone will be kicked out, and if that were the case, it is the childless ones who are at risk. There is space in the harem for one more woman, and I'm sure His Majesty will be making a decision soon." Ainor spoke for the first time. She was not worried about Anya in the slightest. The concubines all looked at each other in surprise. "What place, Lady Ainor?" Ainor clipped some leaves on a flower slowly, knowing all were waiting for her response. She couldn't believe none of them had thought of this yet. "The vacant spot of Empress, of course. You mean His Majesty will make Anya Empress?" Iveta said in shock. All the ladies looked at her like she was mad, and turned their attention back to Ainor. "You think he will appoint an Empress soon?" Lila asked. "Of course. I wouldn't trouble myself with that information if I were you, Lady Lila." "You are not in the running, my dear. None of you actually are. You will have to start calling me Your Majesty soon," she said proudly. They all sat quietly, knowing that when His Majesty decided to pick an Empress, the obvious choice was Ainor. Her bloodline and family, the Percivals, were impeccable. She had the emperor's oldest daughter and usually spent nights in her palace, so your highness is going to be the ultimate winner in all this, together with Anya. The rest of us will have to smile at the Urani maid and call her sister, Ava whined. She could be a lady-in-waiting, Iveta suggested. His Majesty is not going to make her a lady-in-waiting. She is being promoted straight to concubine, Lila said surely. All the women sat at the table in gloom, apart from Aenor, who could smell a promotion coming in the vicinity. Anya sat alone and bored. The clothes she wore yesterday had been taken away, so she was still in His Majesty's robe. She hadn't seen him since he left through the small secret door in the wall late in the night. Didn't the man rest? Anya walked through the small door. The muscles between her legs, which she just discovered worked, seemed to have eased a tad. The door opened to a small, dark corridor, but she could see the silver handle of the other end before she shut the door from the bedchamber, and she walked in the dark to the other side. Anya put her head against the door to listen to what lay on the other side. She could hear the broken, deep voice of His Majesty and another male voice. After 10 heartbeats and no more sounds, she pushed the door. It opened to a lit room, part of the office she spent a whole day standing in. A small wall blocked off the room, and she slowly walked to the other side and found the person she was looking for, seriously looking over some papers on his desk. He was fully clothed in his imperial clothing of black tunic and an outer black coat and dark purple breeches. His face was shaved, and save for his eyes which showed how tired he was, he still looked regal and handsome. Giroux heard the soft pad of footsteps coming from the back door, which joined to his bedroom. He looked at Anya in black flowing hair and wearing one of his robes. In the light of day, her green eyes shone brightly, and her skin stood pale against his robe. Anya, seeing Giroux in the light of day, felt unsure. What if his passion last night was momentary and had passed, and he didn't want to see her again? Everything would have been for naught. He leaned back in his chair. I have a confession to make, Anya said slowly, settling to sit on Giroux's lap. Really? Let's hear it. I thought emperors were lazy, and all they did was have sex, drink wine, and fight in wars, she said with a sheepish look on her face. She disproved that theory the day she spent standing in here. All I want to do is fight wars, drink wine, and have sex all day, he said with a smile. You want to fight? She asked, surprised, the same surprise she had when her brother announced to his family one night that he had registered to join the army and did not want to take over the family business. Fighting war has been part of my life for a long time. I am a soldier, but now I have to be emperor so I can't get on my horse and jaunt off. War is very black and white. You either have to win, lose, or surrender. The last not being an option at all, just win or lose, he said to her, surprised that he was finding it easy to talk to her. Anya was slowly playing with the hair and the nape of Giroux's head, thinking about his words. War did sound straightforward. But court is different. It is. All decisions I have to make, I must ensure I am not offending my nobles. It sounds ridiculous, but that is where my power comes from. They have the ability to strip me of my power and kill me. The local people, the majority, are all practically sheep. Sheep? She asked, surprised. Yes, sheep. What they follow is what they believe is right, and what is right is dictated by the nobles. Every one of them aspires to be a noble, so they seem to think all they do is right in most cases. If a noble says oranges make you impotent, then very soon the locals will be burning down orchards, even if they have not experienced it themselves. Anya smiled. It was true. The people who set trends in fashion of clothing and hair were the nobles. So the emperor too walks a tight line with all of them? She inquired. I have to keep only half of them happy, then I'm safe. Which is a much harder task than it sounds. Anya lowered her mouth to his, reliving last night again, then pulled away. You have to rest. She ran her hand below his tired-looking left eye. Junior Secretary Sorel quietly entered the room and got out immediately after seeing his master with the woman on his lap. He stood out to keep guard. I will try and get some rest tonight, Giroux said. And now, I need something to refresh my mind, he said with a suggestive smile. Anya stood and dropped the robe to the ground, then leaned over to place a feathery kiss on His Majesty's lips. Let me be your distraction then, she said before clearing his desk by pushing the correspondence aside and sitting there and spreading her legs. A wetness had already gathered there. Giroux stood and loosened his breeches. His already hard member forced itself out and sought a wet, warm home. He paused before moving forward. Aren't you sore? I was completely selfish last night, he asks. I am, but I need your cock right now, she said, reaching between them and placing his cock on her entrance and pushing him in. And you need me, she purred when he plugged to the hilt. The two lovers moved over each other until both found completion. Giroux chuckled and kissed Anya on her forehead. She was slowly getting under his skin. He closed his breeches once more and pulled her to his lap when he took his seat once more. I'm thinking of a way to make you mine permanently, he tells her. His eyes half closed, Anya pulled back. Oh? What's wrong with how we are? She asked. Being his concubine will mean being another pretty gem in his gallery. Giroux was at a loss. You do not want to be my concubine? Your Majesty? That didn't sound very passionate. I would rather we remain lovers like this. That way, when we are done with each other, we simply go our separate ways, she told him. So you want no title in my harem or out, and no lands? He asked, disbelieving. I never said that, Your Majesty. I want title and lands. I just want the freedom to walk away once this passion fades. If we have children, they will be illegitimate, he informed her, wondering if her decision was because of her naivete and age. I know, but there won't be children between us. I'm going to be sure of it, she told him, remembering the tincture Olivia had brought her after her confession of her relationship with Milo. A part of Giroux was hurt that she did not want him to be the father of her children. He suddenly wanted to completely possess her body, to be the only man in her life, a completely selfish thing for him, as she would never be the only woman in his life. The day had been slow, and Sorel had been standing on guard at His Majesty's office, but he had an urgent need to relieve himself. He concluded that no one would come in the few minutes he would be away. In the Golden Palace stables, 3 gentlemen got down from their horses. Good day, Your Highness. Good day, Lieutenant, Grand Magistrate, Elliot said to the other men who bowed to him. Wonderful work you did last night, Your Highness. It will be talked about for many months to come, Rolf said, as they all walked up the stairs to see His Majesty. I can't take all the compliments. In truth, the true genius behind it is Madame Laura, Elliot said. There was no one on His Majesty's door. The guards were at the outer door, but not the inner. No Thancred or Sorel? Lieutenant Grenville wondered. They must be inside, Prince Elliot said. Chapter 10. The Duchess and the Dowager. Giroux was aroused once more while kissing Anya. He knew he would have to take her back to his bed to quench his lust for her. He heard the door open and thought it might be Thancred or Sorel. They would automatically show themselves out. Pardon. Many apologies, Your Majesty, Elliot said, and Anya pulled back from Giroux at hearing his voice. She turned, and to her great shame, Elliot was standing there with an uncomfortable-looking Lieutenant Grenville and Grand Magistrate Percival, Rolf. Giroux picked up the robe on the floor and covered Anya with it. Anya managed to master her pride and bowed. Your Highness, Grand Magistrate Lieutenant, she murmured, and went out the way she came from. A thunderous expression was on Rolf's face, and a confused one on the lieutenant's. Elliot was not the least bit surprised to see his brother with Anya. He had sensed his brother's attraction to the girl. It was only a matter of time. Giroux sighed in irritation. He did not want to be interrupted nor embarrass Anya this way. Gentlemen, to what do I owe the generous pleasure? He asked, the annoyance evident to everyone in the room. Rolf went first, an ache growing in his heart. He had set his cap on Anya, and even if his sister had opposed his choice in the beginning, he was ready to disregard everyone for her. I bring a report, Your Majesty. My apologies for the interruption, Rolf said. Giroux's earlier annoyance completely faded, surprised by Rolf's broken expression. The young man seemed to have held some feelings for Anya, something he should have foreseen as he had defended her the last time she was here. His Majesty looked at the report he had placed down. I didn't expect this until next week. I know how His Majesty appreciates efficiency. I hate to waste your time, Your Majesty. Rolf bowed, and Giroux dismissed him. Interesting, he thought to himself. I also bring a report, Your Majesty, Gert said, then paused, wondering how to put his words. But if the Emperor had taken Anya as his concubine, then it was none of his business, and Anya didn't look forced in the least. The lieutenant bowed and left as well. Elliot had been watching quietly, and when the last man left, Sorel entered looking flustered. Your Majesty, I deserve to die for my negligence, he pleaded. Giroux dismissed him without saying anything. If the young man slacked on his duties again, he would be fired. Any report for me, brother? He asked. Elliot smiled sheepishly. I forgot what I came for a moment there. Rolf seems torn to shreds at finding the naked Urani girl with you. Elliot aired the words out. I really do not care what Rolf feels for Anya. She is my woman now, Giroux said, looking at his brother with a smile. A nagging thought appeared at the back of his mind. Did Anya hold affection for Rolf? Lieutenant Grenville was surprised mostly. Do you think it is his first time seeing a woman naked? Elliot asked. He is a self-appointed elder brother to Anya, he answered while taking up Gert's report. Then that was the other emotion I spotted. Anger. If you weren't his sovereign, he would have bashed your teeth in. Giroux snort-laughed and stood up. The words on paper were not making any sense to him. All he wanted to do was follow Anya back to his bedchamber. Did you come here for that? He asked. No. I realize that Laura and I have received numerous congratulatory messages, but I noticed you have sent us none, Elliot said with false offense. My congratulations is that you both keep not only your overpaid jobs, but your heads too. You can show yourself out, brother, Giroux said, as his brother threw his head back in mirth. His Majesty, on the other hand, had some unfinished business with his lover. Wow, so His Majesty thinks he can just destroy my sister's honor and pay it off with this gold? Marjorie asked angrily. The nerve of the man. Well, he has also bestowed an estate on Lady Anya and a title of Duchess. Sorel repeated the message once more. In truth, he would like to just leave the humble house Lady Anya grew up in because her sister was scary. The two sisters might be different in appearance but were very similar in temperament. The older sister was actually much more scary. Our honor cannot be bought by gold. Marjorie picked up one fist-sized golden egg with the dagger emblems on it and let it carelessly fall to the ground. In truth, she had never seen this much gold in her life, Tanner too. A knock sounded on the door, admitting Laura. She was dressed in her usual attire. Mr. Sorel, she said, then paused the greeting after she spotted 20 gold eggs on the table. His Majesty is, Marjorie began. Extremely gracious, Tanner said. His wife was about to insult their monarch. So long as Anya is happy and taken care of, we do not have any objections, Mr. Sorel. Marjorie looked at her husband in shock. How dare he speak on her sister's behalf? His Majesty will take care of Lady Anya, that is a guarantee, Olivia said. I would like to bid you thank you and farewell, madam and sir. Sorel nodded, eager to leave the place. Thank you, sir, Tanner said, walking the man out. They were woken up with the Emperor's secretary delivering news of the Emperor's apologies for disgracing Anya and offering his heartfelt compensation. Laura was informed of the news last night, while she and Elliot drank and made love. She woke up with a devil of a hangover, but knew Marjorie must be told of Anya's new status before anyone else told her. It seemed she was beaten to it. Marjorie released a curse while pacing. You were right, Tanner. Going to the Marble Palace was the worst sort of idea, she said. Tanner placed the golden egg properly back in the wooden chest. Yes, I thought Anya could have done worse. Think of it, Marjorie. It is His Majesty who decided to have her. Oh, shut up, Tanner. You are the most annoying man. And you too, she looked at Olivia and Laura. I begged you to look after Anya safely. Now she is His Majesty's whore. She is just a child. Marjorie worried. Her parents must be looking at her in disappointment. Anya was raised sheltered by everyone. She must have been scared after the Emperor took advantage of her. The poor thing. I should have been there to comfort her. Olivia remembered Anya yesterday. She was completely wanton and brazen, walking the Golden Palace half-naked with only His Majesty's robe. Today in the morning, Olivia had walked into His Majesty's bedchambers, expecting him to be absent and in his office at that time of morning as he usually is. But the erotic scene of Anya moaning loudly and riding His Majesty, mouth open, eyes shut, head thrown back, and His Majesty's hands softly around her neck, will forever be burned in her mind. I was with Anya yesterday in the morning. She wasn't what you expect her to have been. Marjorie's eyes grew large in horror. Oh dear, she is worse. No, not at all. Anya was actually very wanton. What are you trying to say, Olivia? My sister was chaste. I never said she wasn't chaste. I am saying she was not broken, but very happy and satisfied with her lot in life. She even told me she liked the nickname of Imperial Slut, that they whisper behind her back. Anya is not a child anymore as you imagine her to be, Marjorie. Of course she is. She only turned 18 summers 6 moons ago. The baker's daughter is only 16 and already has 2 whelps, Tanner commented offhandedly. Marjorie gasped. You will not dare compare my pure sister to nasty Natalie. Okay, everyone pipe down, Laura said while closing her eyes in pain. The back and forth between the two girls is not going anywhere. Anya is a grown woman, Marjorie. The earlier you accept it, the quicker you will appreciate the gold in front of you. And second, your husband is right. She might have done worse, but she got His Majesty. What we need to worry about is her future. Whatever children she will birth will be bastards. Not that there is anything wrong with being a bastard. Anya is a bastard, and so am I. We turned out pretty good, she said. You describe her situation as pretty good? Marjorie said in disgust. Yes, she is a lady now, and yes, we turned out pretty good. I am quite possibly the most famous woman in Dunbria right now as the director of Imperial Arts, while Anya is a duchess and the Emperor's lover. The 3 of you are all legitimately born, but now we outrank you. All 3 in the room looked at Laura deadpan. Of course you would support this, Marjorie accused. I do not. Once His Majesty tires of Anya, he will put her aside. Why would I support something like that? Laura argued. Enough of this finger-pointing, Marjorie. Anya has reasons for what she is doing. Olivia joined the conversation. I doubt they are good enough. They involve justice for Milo and your father. Of course they are enough. Marjorie looked away. Is there a way I can see her? Yes, His Majesty has day passes for the 2 of you if you need to see her. Olivia took out the 2 metal tags. Marjorie turned to her husband with a smirk. We need to take out our best clothes, honey. We are going to the Marble Palace. Anya ran her hand over the clothes Lena and Shay had just delivered. Their design was going to be scandalous at best. She told Madame Frida not to put a chastity shift. The only thing between her upper body's naked skin and the long robes would be a silk-thin cloth. Even the layers of the petticoats were less. The clothing was alluring. Olivia walked in and looked at the clothes with the same disapproval. How did Marjorie take the news? As expected, she is here together with Tanner and Laura. Anya took in a deep breath. This would not be easy. Tell them I will be there soon. Marjorie left the bedchamber and Anya was left alone. She hoped Marjorie would keep away. Now she had to make her understand her decision. When Anya went to the salon of the Golden Palace, she found an exhausted-looking Laura, her sister and husband dressed to the nines. Did you two think you'll be meeting His Majesty? She strutted in. Her hair was braided in front, but left to flow behind her back. Her neck was exposed, half her shoulders were out. She looked absolutely wanton. Tanner's jaw dropped. This was not the little girl he remembered who was crying out for her mother not so long ago. Did we interrupt you while dressing up? You can go back and finish. We can wait, Marjorie said. No, I'm done. Anya sat down calmly. Laura's eyebrows were up to her hairline. This was shocking even for her. Marjorie knelt in front of Anya and grabbed her shoulders. Then in a whisper, as there were 4 maids standing not a long distance away, "Is he forcing you to play this role?" "He hasn't even seen me yet," Anya whispered back. "I know you are worried, but trust me, please. If I need help, I have a way to send word to you." Anya squeezed her sister's hand. Marjorie nodded and stood back, then looked around appreciatively for the first time. "You have done well for yourself, Anya," Marjorie indicated with her hands. "Or is it Duchess now?" "Anya is still fine." "Well, it seems Marjorie won't be tearing you a new asshole." "I have work to do." "If you would excuse me, Your Grace." Laura bowed dramatically to Anya. "Laura, I need people I can trust to work at my manor. Can you help me?" Anya asked. Laura smiled and nodded, then left. This was the first time Anya was asking for her help. Maybe finally she was forgiving her. "She has foul language," Tanner said, smiling after Laura left. "She grew up rough. How's my chunky nephew, and why isn't he here?" Anya asked. "He has a nanny, and thanks to His Majesty's kindness, we will be able to afford more servants," Marjorie answered. "We will bring him over once you move to your manor. We are going to be off as well, we have to open shops," Marjorie said apologetically. Anya was just beginning to enjoy the company when the words were said. She was all alone here in the Golden Palace. The maids gave her a wide berth, and Olivia was always busy. His Majesty was always busy with state affairs. "I will see you off to the gate," Anya announced, standing up. "You do not have to do that, Anya," Tanner said, helping his wife up. "I know, I just want to do it. I've been cooped up here for too long," she said, and Olivia agreed to accompany them as well. While walking back from the gates, they saw maids carry covered platters to the Imperial Garden. The weather was pleasant today. She wondered who it was that was taking a meal in the gardens. "What is happening in the gardens?" Olivia asked. The maid looked at Olivia rudely at first, then Anya. Her eyes widened, and she looked down. "The Dowager is hosting a lunch with all the concubines," she answered, then scurried off. "We are going to the gardens, Olivia. Are you sure that is a good idea, Anya? You are not really someone who should even be in the Marble Palace." "Are you scared, Olivia?" Anya said, while walking in the direction of the garden. When they reached near the meeting area, all conversation ceased. Anya bowed to the Dowager Grand Concubine, Lady Hira. "Greetings, Your Highness." Hira looked at the audacious girl. Even her manner of clothing was not decent as the other concubines. She decided to ignore Anya, pegging her as a drama queen. "No one invited you, Anya. This is for concubines only," Iveta said, annoyed. The girl had some nerve showing up here. "I think what Lady Iveta is trying to say is that this is not a meeting for social climbers. His Majesty has assigned you a position, and that is nothing short of a sex slave," Ava bit. "It is Your Grace to you all, ladies," Anya said with a condescending smile. She expected the venom they would spit to sting, but it was actually amusing. "I am a duchess now, but I didn't come here to exchange pointless barbs with you bedwenches. I was here to pass my greetings to Her Highness. Her and my brother were well acquainted, from what I gathered." All eyes turned to the Dowager, who looked perplexed. "I assure you, Duchess, that I do not know your peasant brother," Lady Hira said. "No? Lieutenant Milo Webb, he served bravely at the Battle of Piran. You do not recall him?" Hira's face remained passive, never changing. Anya's eyes had been on her and her head of household, the slithery Jankin. He flinched at the mention of her brother, not visibly enough that she thought she missed it, but the tick in his jaw assured her. Lady Hira might have forgotten her brother, but Jankin remembers. "No, I do not." "I may shock you, Duchess, but I do not know everything as people try to paint me to," she said with a kind smile. I am wrong then, Anya said. Indeed. Would you like to join us? Hira offered. The girl has too much fire in her, and His Majesty keeps her close. Maybe she can use her for something. Me? The imperial slut? No, my lady, you honor me too much. I best be going back to the Golden Palace to warm up His Majesty's bed, she said, and turned to go. What was the purpose of what you did, Anya? Olivia was shocked by Anya's behavior. They were entering the gates of the Golden Palace. I wanted to know if Lady Hira knew my brother. She didn't. Of course she didn't. She held no recognition in her eyes. Anya smiled. She only needs to lay a trap now. What are you happy about that? Didn't you suspect her? I did. She might have not remembered him, but Jenkin did. Anya spotted Thancred walking slowly to his office, and then she held his hand in support. He was surprised, and when he looked at Anya, she smiled. Good day, Mr. Thancred. Good day, Duchess, he said, letting her lead him to his office while Olivia went about her duties. She helped him sit, and a smile did not leave his face. Thank you, these old bones seem to be failing more and more, he said, shaking his head. You could retire, Anya suggested. Yes, I could, but I can't leave someone incompetent to handle His Majesty's affairs. You've been looking? Yes, a year ago there was a capable candidate, but met an unfortunate end. Thancred stopped and shook his head. He must be thinking about Madame Frida's son Lucien. Sorel is all right, but when serving the Emperor of Dunbria, you need to be more than just all right. I'm sure, however, that with time he will improve, but he will need help, the old man said with a scratchy voice. Anya ordered a servant to bring tea to his office. She served him a cup and herself. Only men are open to this job? She asked mockingly. Thancred chuckled. Anya has a mischievous nature that is light and refreshing. He can tell why His Majesty is thoroughly taken with her. We Dunes are not as progressive as the Urani, unfortunately, he answered. Anya smiled. You must have some candidates, however. Thancred shook his head. A lot of nobles sent their second or third sons to me, but none of them cut the cloth. Then the sons of just the ordinary Dune are not well versed in the law and palace etiquette, I'm afraid. He was tired of the incompetence of everyone being sent to him. There is one man I know. He works right here in the palace, so he knows palace etiquette. As for the law, I'm not sure. He is quite educated, however. Who is this gentleman? He is the gate recorder Ewan Scholes. I will take that into consideration, Thancred said. Anya got up. Well, I will not hold you for long. I will go and find something to entertain myself. Most ladies in the inner palace enjoy doing some flower arrangements, Thancred offered. Anya visibly cringed. That sounds horrid. I will just go and bother Olivia. What was that wild child going on about earlier? The sound of small trimming shears snapped while the little branch of Thai bonsai plant Lady Hira has been tending to for 5 years was destroyed. Jenkins smoothly stepped closer to her ladyship. The day of the feast the Emperor dedicated to the soldiers of Piran, a traitor overheard Tobin and I going over the failed assassination plans. That traitor was Lieutenant Milo's father. They left together, and we had no choice but to kill him before he told anyone of the plot. Lady Hira sat back. You seem to have done a terrible job because it was linked back to me. I don't see how that could have happened, my lady, Jenkin answered, puzzled. It happened. You became too careless. Maybe someone else saw you. That is the only possibility he can think of as well. The person saw Tobin commit the crime, then linked it to the Pearl Palace. The witness doesn't seem to know about the actual plot. I will flush out the witness, Jenkin promised. You make sure to do that. You will not drag me down with you. I promise not to, my lady. And Iveta? I am planning on talking to the Mauve Palace chef. He is the best person to administer the medicine. Good, she said, her mind making connections. Do not harm Anya. She knows by approaching me like that in a public space about her dead brother, who I supposedly knew, that if anything happens to her, people will start asking questions, and His Majesty will begin to dig deeper. Yes, my lady. Jenkin bowed and left the room. The web wench caught him unexpectedly. He never thought in a million years he would have to answer or handle the case of the traitor and his son. There are whispers around the Marble Palace about the imperial whore and the confrontation with the dowager. Do you need me to take care of her? Tobin asked. Jenkin looked at him sharply. You will do no such thing. If a hair is harmed on her head after her show, it will be Her Highness who will be blamed. She does not know the real reason her brother and father were killed, so we have nothing to worry about. I have more urgent matters to attend to. Laura has been extensively drilling the fire breathers and dancers for the last 2 weeks in readiness for the Falling Stars Festival. Things in Marble City have been calm, and Anya is safe. For her, that is all that matters. She was looking at the fire breathers perform a set when a woman walked up to her, a face from a life she left behind. Amaranth. It is good to see you, Laura said, wondering what the once famed gymnast was seeking from her. When Laura left the circus, Amaranth had been Gerardo's woman for the last 2 years after her fall, and she permanently broke her ankle. She now has a permanent, almost undetectable limp, but her career in the circus was essentially over. I heard Madame Laura was hiring talent. The Imperial Arts is said to pay well, Amaranth said. Laura looked at her threadbare tunic and beaten boots. This is not the condition of the same woman she left. This woman is without options in life. Amaranth, we know your performing days ended permanently 2 years ago, Laura said dismissively. Yes, we do. However, I am an asset. Gerardo kept me for a reason some time after I fell. I could help with the performers. Gerardo kept you on for sex and not your skill, and besides, I already have a choreographer on board, Laura said, then shouted at some dancers who were slacking and ruining the routine. Amaranth stood, trying to bite back tears. She is over 30 summers, and no brothel in Dunbria wants her. Her Urani heritage makes most skeptical of hiring her, as they are thought to be dishonest. Surely you can place me somewhere, Laura. Gerardo was a cold bastard and tossed me out with nothing. I spent all my life in the circus and have nowhere else to go. I run a tight ship here, Amaranth. I can't keep slack around. You call Gerardo a cold bastard, but it was known all over the circus that Laura is the coldest witch to walk the earth. I wonder why you even came here. I can't help you. When I fell, you are the one who paid for my medical bills. You kept it a secret, but I know it was you. Amaranth would have died of infection. The circus is a hard place if you can't take care of yourself. People there help those who can help themselves. You don't have to pay me, Laura. Just please give me a place to sleep and food to eat, and I will be your dog if you want me to. Stop, Amaranth. It is very unbecoming for an Urani to beg like that. Where is your pride? What is pride when you haven't had a meal in a week? Laura looked at her old acquaintance again. She had lost weight. How are you with home management? If I'm fed, I can do it. I never spent a night in one. But it can't be that different to managing circus performers, she admitted. Anya needs a housekeeper, someone she can trust, someone I can trust with my life. Anya is alive? She whispered the question. Of course she is. She is now a duchess with a large manor, but is gathering enemies quickly. I care about Anya. You know that. Lyra was like a sister to me. She says with passion. The reason her and Laura fell out is that she discovered she abandoned Anya. Laura had told her at the time that she sold her niece. How did you find her? I thought you said she was sold, and you do not know where she was taken. I've always known where Anya was. Why didn't you tell me, Laura? What for? Anya had a safe home where she grew up to have a normal childhood. What would you have done if I told you where she was? Take her back to the circus? Blood belongs with blood. That was your favorite line. How could I tell you that Anya was being raised in Dunbria by Dunes? Amaranth looked away. She would have gone to take Anya back, but by the sound of it, Laura made the better decision to leave her in Dunbria. Where is she? She whispered. Right now, she is at her estate. Laura wrote down on a scrap of paper the location of her estate. Tell her I sent you for the housekeeping position. Amaranth reached out to take it, but Laura held on tightly to it. This is a different playing field, Amaranth. You might be offered more gold than you have ever seen by her enemies. If you betray her and she is harmed, you better run to the darkest corner of the earth because I will hunt you down and cut you up with a blunt, jagged-edged knife, Laura said slowly, her eyes unblinking and serious. Amaranth pulled the paper away from Laura. I would never betray Lyra's blood, even you. How do you think I will be able to face her in the afterworld? She said. Laura nodded slowly, believing her. Amaranth has always been a strong believer of the gods. You should be on your way. Laura tossed a silver coin in her direction and turned her attention back to the performers, dismissing Amaranth. Anya was going through the list of inventory gathered. The Pinehaven Manor is in exquisite condition and the house fully furnished. His Majesty said there is a lagoon on the land. That is why he chose to gift it to her. She looked up when she heard footsteps, and an Urani woman walked in slowly. The manor has very lax security, and that is something she also needs to look into. Yes, from the looks of her clothing, she looked like a down-on-her-luck circus performer. Tears gathered in Amaranth's eyes. You look just like your mother, she whispered. Anya raised her eyebrows. I look like Cecily Webb? Anya chuckled to herself. No, your birth mother Lyra, she said with a sure smile. Anya's smile dropped. Who sent you? I am a friend of your Aunt Laura. Laura has no friends. The older woman smiled. You are right, but she sent me here. She said you needed a housekeeper. And she sent a former circus performer? Anya scoffed. What joke is Laura running? I might not be one for home management, but I am good at managing people, and I can be trusted. Trusted? She asked. I saw you being born, Anya. When your mother died, I helped Elmont to take care of you, she said truthfully. Anya sat back. "Where is Elmont?" she asked after a moment of silence. "Dead. He left Laura when you were abandoned in Dumbria, left the Gerardo circus altogether, and joined a gang of marauders. He didn't last a week," she told her. "That's a shame, he was a kind man." "He was a weak man," Amaranth said seriously. Anya raised her eyes to meet Amaranth's cold ones. "Weak? Why would you say that? He couldn't stand up to Laura. There is no place in this world for such men." Anya swallowed. "The Urani are known to be tough as nails and crooked as an old woman's teeth." She stood up. "If Laura sent you here, that means she trusts you somehow. Then I have no choice but to as well." She paused and looked at the woman once more. She has chapped lips. When was the last time this woman ate something? "As you can see, Pinehaven is seriously lacking staff. I trust you will look for a chef, maids, and the like. I don't want this place littered with servants, but I do not want it shabby either." "I understand, Duchess. I spend most, if not all, of my time in the Marble Palace. You might hear things being spoken here by people of high rank, even the Emperor himself. I need not stress on you the importance of keeping your mouth closed." "Yes, ma'am." Anya released a breath. "You can clean yourself up and rest. Maya here will show you where your quarters as the housekeeper is." Anya motioned for Maya to step forward. "This is Madam." She then paused, realizing she didn't ask for the Urani woman's name. "Amaranth," the woman supplied without missing a beat. "She has traveled far. Get her something to eat, and show her to her quarters. There must be a uniform she can be given." "I'm sure, Amaranth, that you can work a needle well?" Anya asked, and the older woman nodded. "Maya, you will be working directly under her. Make sure I don't get disappointed with how you are performing your duties." The girl bowed. "Yes, Your Grace." Anya went to her bedchambers to sleep. She has been up since yesterday, failing to sleep because of her eagerness to finally see her manor. The last 2 weeks after she confronted Lady Hyra have been quiet. Nothing of note has happened. The lady has been very cautious. She had put eyes on Tobin and Jenkin. The 2 lackeys have not done anything suspicious. She gathered that maybe the Pearl Palace workers know they are being followed, so she told the Golden Palace eunuch to stop following them. The Empress returns. "The road has been closed for rehabilitation, my lady, in preparation for the rainy season," Malcolm, her groom and guard, said. She was far from the manor and was shielded by a long hooded cloak. Her riding on horseback meant she would be easily recognizable, hence the hood. "What are we to do, Your Grace? Going back to the manor was not an option. There has to be another way. His Majesty is expecting me." She looked around. After staying 2 days in her new home, Giroux had explicitly asked her to come back. "We could cut a corner through one of your neighbor's land," he suggested. Anya looked ahead at the blocked road. "Very well," she said. Malcolm led her to her opposite neighbor's manor. The place had servants dotted around, performing various duties. "Good day, kind sir," Anya said when she approached what she supposed was the owner. A thick-set man looked at her closely, trying to see if he could recognize her. She pulled down her hood and gave him a warm smile. "I am the Duchess of Pinehaven, Anya Webb, your new neighbor." When her title and name left her mouth, a smile covered the man's face. Anya did not realize she was gaining fame. "What can I do for you, Your Grace?" he asked. "The road is closed, and I have an urgent matter I have to attend to at the Marble Palace. Would you be kind and let us cut through your land, sir?" "Oh, of course, Your Grace, of course. However, the land behind us doesn't belong to us, but I'm sure Mr. Jenkin will let you pass. You might know him. He is a fellow Marble Palace resident," the man said proudly. He had another name to add to the list of people he knew who met the Emperor on the regular. "Yes, I am familiar with the man. Thank you. I would love to chat, but I am in a bit of a hurry," she said apologetically. "Oh, don't let me hold you back, my lady. Please, when you are less busy, my wife and I would love to have you over for dinner. We have quite possibly the best chef in Dumbria," he boomed. "I will remember that invitation, Mr. Oh, it is Mr. Marlowe, Your Grace." "Thank you, Mr. Marlowe." "I will be on my way now," she said, and encouraged her horse to enter a trot, followed closely behind by Malcolm. Anya was on her way to the Golden Palace when she found the ladies Lilla and Iveta taking a stroll with their attendants close by. She halted her horse and threw back her hood. Iveta's pregnancy had progressed far. "Good day, my ladies." "Your Grace," Lilla answered. Iveta looked away stubbornly, refusing to acknowledge Anya's existence. A crier was heard in the distance, and Anya immediately got down from her horse to stand aside on the paved inner palace road. A crier only announced the arrival of His Majesty when he came back, after a long absence in the Marble Palace, which was strange as His Majesty had been in residence the whole while. All 3 ladies were at a loss as to who was coming. The only reasonable explanation was if the Emperor had a new Empress, but that is not something that can be kept secret. As the sedan passed, all the heads were bowed, and what the crier was saying became clear. Her Majesty, Empress Elena. Anya caught a glimpse of the woman behind the filmy white curtain and was surprised to see a beautiful older woman. After the path cleared of the escort, Anya turned to the two concubines, who looked like they had seen a ghost. "Who is that woman?" Iveta drew in air between her teeth. "Of course, a peasant like you wasn't educated enough on the emperor's family or his ancestors." "She is the emperor's mother," Lila answered grimly. "His Majesty has a live mother?" Anya blurted in surprise. "Yes, and it seems her banishment is over." "She was banished?" Anya asked dumbly. "She killed a concubine in cold blood. The body of Lady Nima was found in a pool of her own blood in the Sapphire Palace, with the Empress's naked body covered in the blood," Lila said grimly. "Lady Nima was the Dowager Grand Concubine's sister. The Empress would have been executed, but since she birthed the Emperor who was then Crown Prince, she was sentenced to 100 lashes, and, if she survived, banishment for 20 years to the stone temples," Iveta added to the grim story. Anya swallowed. "Why did she kill the concubine?" She whispered the question, all three ladies looking at the empty road the Dowager Empress just passed. "She said Lady Nima wanted to steal something from her," Lila said with a shiver. "I have to get back to my palace, unfortunately. I can't walk anymore, Iveta smiled. "I feel the same way." Anya got on her horse and left without a word. From the look of the two ladies, they had no idea the Dowager Empress would be coming back. Why would the Emperor keep such information to himself? When she arrived at the Golden Palace, she found people moving around in a hurry with their heads bowed, and she stopped one. "Why is there a permanent fear on everyone's face in here?" she inquired. The servant looked around with her head slightly lowered. "Her Majesty is very demanding and expects everything to be perfect. She is with His Majesty right now?" The maid nodded. In his office, Anya ran into Yuan Scholes carrying rolls of paper. He bowed with a smile. "Your Grace, Yuan, the black tunic looks good on you," she commented. "Thank you, my lady. I am thankful for your recommendation," he murmured. Anya looked at his hands. The gloves were absent as the weather had been warmer. "You deserve it, you are too smart to be writing down names the whole day," Anya said while looking around. "You seem to be carrying many things. Are all those for His Majesty?" she said, indicating to the papers in his hands. "No, my lady, we are gathering some information on the various ministries in preparation of the audit investigations we are supposed to do," he told her. "Does that include the Marble Palace as well?" "An audit was already conducted for the departments in the Marble Palace, Your Grace." "Including the inner palace?" she asked slowly. "The harem?" he asked, flustered. "That has never been done before, my lady. Maybe it should. His Majesty wants to clean out all corruption, and is zealously preaching honesty and love for Dunbria. Don't you think he would find it fair to investigate the various inner palaces, to know if the people managing them are not defrauding the ladies? You know, most of them do not really care or spend much time monitoring what is ordered and being spent." Yuan thought about Anya's words critically. One thing he read in the reports of the Marble Palace records is the excessive spending, mostly originating from the inner palace. Very rarely do the departments question the requests of the imperial harem. "I will bring up the suggestion to Mr. Thancred," he said seriously. "Thank you. I will leave you to your work now," Anya said before going to His Majesty's chambers. Giroux rubbed his throbbing temple. Today might possibly be the longest day in his life. His mother arrived with little to no notice. The notice she gave him was a letter he received yesterday morning, telling him that she had finished her years of banishment and is coming back home. "Your Majesty, I would hate to talk about this, but there seems to be major disturbance in the imperial harem," General Percival said loudly to get the attention of all the other generals and senators. He raised his eyebrows. "Is that so?" A part of Giroux was surprised Lady Aenor's father would bring up such matters right here. "Yes, Your Majesty. The harem is in its 4th year without an empress, and the Dowager Empress is back. The Dowager Grand Concubine has been running the harem for years, but with the return of the Empress, who will it be under? I propose His Majesty chooses an Empress who will automatically settle this mess. Then maybe we will be graced with an heir," he said. Almost half of the people were nodding their heads in agreement. At the positive feedback from the senators, he continued. "Then there is the tricky issue of the newly minted Duchess of Pinehaven, Lady Anya Webb." The nods increased, all wanting His Majesty to sort out his household. "Thank you for your suggestion, General Percival. However, I have everything under control." "You are blowing up matters. The Dowager Empress just arrived this morning, and she, as my mother, will take up the duty of finding the best empress for Dunbria. As for Lady Anya, she holds no position in court or the harem. I do not think the Senate should really spend time discussing who I decide to take on as a lover. I doubt the good people of Dunbria would find it favorable, the fact that we spend precious hours talking about who we take to bed. The people of the southern borders had a poor yield, which will not take them to the end of the year. We should focus on that, and not matters which honestly ought to be handled by women, he said. General Percival is only showing concern, sire, Senator Luca added. General Percival wants to be the father of an empress, hence the pressure. No man in here lives with no squabbles from the women in his life. Senator Luca, you yourself had a case against you 4 months ago, of deflowering many daughters of nobles. Should we halt the important matters of Dunbria and speak of our chamber matters? Giroux looked at him straight in the face. The young women were willing, so no matter how the nobles appealed to him, he couldn't do anything. Senator Luca cleared his throat and looked down. You did not let me finish, sire. I meant General Percival was showing concern, but it was misplaced. He himself has quite a few bastards in his estate by his female servants. The senator tried to divert the silent anger which was being directed to him. General Percival blanched. Debaucher, how dare you speak of my matters like that? Another senator snorted. Your matters? You brought this sordid matter up, Percival. An argument ensued, making Giroux's headache pound even more. Thancred hit the gavel to create order. Order, gentlemen. Let us remember where we are. This is not a local steam house, but the Senate arena. We have important matters of empire to discuss. The meeting returned to normal, but some senators were sending silent signs of violence to each other. Thancred was discussing the suggestion Yuan brought of the audit of the inner palace, while the two were in his private chambers. I think that is an excellent idea. The inner palace spending is very high, which is not something new. In the old inner palace, it was not only the concubines but the imperial nursery was filled as well. We should be having less expenses, he said, finding the idea agreeable. I just want to say, Your Majesty, that it will bring out a few skeletons, Thancred warned. We will staunch the misuse of funds and punish everyone found to be embezzling the palace, no matter who it is. I will carry out your commands, Your Majesty. Thancred bowed and walked out. The young man Yuan was a good worker, and Giroux was happy Anya recommended him. The suggestion, though, he knew did not come from the young man, as Yuan admitted it. Thancred was suspicious of the intentions of the young duchess. Whoever was the recipient of her attention must be involved in something corrupt. You seem stressed, Your Majesty. Anya's sultry voice floated in the room after she heard Thancred leave. She walked to Giroux, who was nursing a cup of wine in a chair. She was wearing nothing but his robe, and it was open in front to show off her generous breast and long, nimble legs and hips. For the first time today, Giroux smiled. He knew she came to the Golden Palace this morning, but hadn't had a chance to see her. He didn't know how much he had missed her after she decided to be absent for a few days, as she claimed he was ignoring his responsibilities in siring an heir with his concubines. I had a lousy day, he said, putting the wine cup away as she straddled him and placed her fingers on his temples and started to rub them to relax him. Giroux closed his eyes to enjoy the attention. Have you gotten any sleep since I went away? She asked him. The dark circles around his eyes were prominent. There are many things that needed to be handled. Sleep could wait. I doubt she would have wanted to stress you like this. She is your mother after all. And don't all mothers want to be near their children? Anya asked cautiously. Giroux ignored her words, not wanting to discuss his mother. The Dowager Empress came in with a big smile on her face, with so much casualness as if she had been gone for a few months, and not 2/3 of his life. In truth, he actually felt close to nothing for his mother, as she has been away since he was a child. At seeing his reaction to the topic of his mother, Anya let it be. Play a game with me, she said. Giroux partially opened one of his eyes. So long as we do not have to move from our positions, why not? He agreed. If you were not born in the royal family, what would you like to be, Giroux? She asked, his name rolling off her tongue as if she has been saying it all her life. No one called him by his name anymore, the sound of it relaxing. I love how you say my name, he told her, with his eyes boring into hers. Good, because I'm tired of calling you Your Majesty, but that doesn't mean I will stop being your emperor, Anya smiled. My question still needs an answer. He took a moment to think about it. In Piran, there is a small little village. The people there live quiet, calm lives. There was an old man who owned a little shed by the river, and caught fish for his food and for sale. He didn't catch much, just enough to carry him through the day. His hut was small, and it had a tiny cot in the corner. One early morning while I was walking after a restless night, I found him sitting with a large smile on his face watching a sunrise. I saw something I have never seen on anyone's face, even my own. Satisfaction. To only for a day have such satisfaction would be amazing. A small smile appeared on Anya's face, knowing in that moment she has seen a side to Giroux he had never shown anyone. You want to be a peasant fisherman? She mocked gently. A far cry from my life, I know, he said, feeling vulnerable and joining her joke. He didn't know what made him open up to Anya like that. His concubines and even his dead wife ask him what is on his mind, but never had he ever answered it truthfully. A beautiful far cry. But I just want to tell you I'm not seeing myself in a shack. Enjoying the manor overly much? Not fully, I find it far too big. It won't be once it has children in it. There won't be any children between us, she told him. Giroux bit his jaw. Is the thought of having my children repulsive to you? No. Anya ran a finger over his chest. But the children we will have a hard time. I repulse most of your nobles and harem. I don't want my children to grow up with the moniker of bastards of the imperial whore. So you never plan on having children? You will tire of me one day, and I will be free to marry whoever I wish. Maybe then I will have children, she admitted. Free to marry Rolf Percival? He asked. Anya looked up in his eyes. Why would he ask about Rolf from all the men? If the Grand Magistrate will have me, then why not? He is young and handsome. I will kill every man who wishes to make you his. How is that fair to me, your majesty? If you do not want me anymore, I'm to remain alone? How selfish of you. Giroux looked away from her eyes. She was right, of course. If he tired of her, then it would not be fair for him to not let her meet another man. The thing was, Giroux was not sure he would ever tire of her. What if she was the one who was tired of him, when he was old, and not virile anymore? He was, after all, a full decade, and 2 summers older than her. When she reaches his age, he will be an old man, while Rolf is only 26 summers, much closer to her in age. The concubines were being introduced to the Dowager Empress. A small smile covered her face as beauty after beauty was introduced to her, including the ladies-in-waiting and the pregnant Lady Iveta. She had spotted the woman the day she arrived together with Lady Lilla and another dark-haired beauty. She looked off, not belonging to the royal harem. She would stick out like a sore thumb in the midst of the pale beauties. Her stance and eyes held a wild spirit that is abundant among the Irani. The first royal Princess Ira was introduced to her. She was a 4-year-old girl who attempted to do a curtsy to her grandmother, much to her pleasure and the grand concubines. Next is the Princess Gina, who was only 2 years old. She was led by her nanny on her wobbly feet to meet her grandmother. Is that all? Where are the rest of the children? The Empress asked. The concubines looked at each other, but it is Aenor who is brave enough to speak. That is all the children, your majesty, she said. A displeased look appeared on Elena's face. Hira almost rolled her eyes. The woman pretended at not knowing that her son only has 2 children when she had spies all over the marble palace, who always kept her abreast of the place. Elena signaled to her lady's maid, who told the servers to bring in the fruit. The first meal was tangerine arranged in a sun shape. The ladies are surprised at the simpleness of the meal, not expecting to be served fruit only as a starter at lunch with Her Majesty. When I married His Majesty, the old emperor, he asked me what I wanted, and I told him to plant tangerines all over the marble palace. I wanted both workers and concubines to enjoy the fruit to contentment. I called it the greedy fruit because just having one is never enough. And we still all enjoy your magnanimous gesture, Your Majesty, Aenor intoned. When I was staying in the mountains, I wanted to plant tangerines around, but the terrain and weather of the mountain temples is not ideal for the fruit. But there was one which I nurtured, watered, and loved. Then after 10 years, its leaves were green and healthy but never gave fruit. Elena chuckled, remembering the pesky plant. What is worse than a fruit tree that is receiving everything to produce fruit but doesn't? I woke up one day and took an axe to it and used the wood to light a fire to keep me warm at night. 14 women and only 2 daughters, disappointing. Or maybe it is my son who is failing to perform his duty towards you all, she muttered. The silence in the room is deafening until Lilla spoke. I'm sorry to disappoint you, Your Majesty, but what are some of us to do? I have carried 4 of His Majesty's children, and all were stillborn. All but 1 were boys. Elena looked at the young woman. 4 miscarriages is a serious problem. Some foul play was definitely there. Is there anyone here who has miscarried? Hands of all of them rose. All miscarried. Hira swallowed because she can feel the anger radiating from Elena. She knew. Do not worry, my dears. When you entered the palace, you lacked a mother to take care of you. I am here now, you will be fine, she assured them. The women looked at each other, wondering if they ought to celebrate her words, because the grand concubine had been acting as a mother to them, albeit a neglectful one, but to celebrate will be a great disrespect to a woman who has treated them all with nothing but kindness. After all the meals have been served, the concubines, together with the ladies-in-waiting, left the Sapphire Palace. The only people who remained were Lady Hira and the Dowager Empress. Tell me, Hira, since you have been pretending to be Dowager Empress all these years while I was away, did you ever find out why these young women can't seem to keep a pregnancy to full term? Hira took a sip of her wine. Investigate the death of an unborn child? Where do I even start from? You are very brazen, Hira. I am sure you killed the Empress too. Hira scoffed. What evidence do you have, Your Majesty? If you ask all these girls, I have been nothing but kind to them. Yes, kind while killing their children. I do not appreciate your accusations, Dowager Empress. Hira emphasized the dowager part. We have become old women, you and I, but one thing for sure is that I'm still empress when you have the honorary title of dowager concubine. A fancy name for an old bed wench. I can see after all these years your language has not been refined, your majesty. I am the only person with the title empress in this whole empire. Whatever I do is naturally considered refined. Hera, annoyed, got up from her chair. I have more important things to do than argue with you. She began to walk away. Elena clicked her tongue in mock disappointment, and Hera stopped, immediately realizing her faux pas. Is that how you walk out on your monarch, Lady Hera? Imperial rules are clear. Do you need a lashing and re-education, maybe? Hera blanched. If she was lashed and taken to be re-educated on palace rules, she will be humiliated, especially since she has been playing empress for the past 20 years. A momentary swallow of pride was better than public humiliation. She turned to Elena and got on her knee, bowing her head. Pardon my impertinence. May I ask for my leave? Elena gestured with her hand to encourage Hera. Ask for my leave what? Hera bit back a curse. My empress, she said bitterly. Elena gave her a warm smile. Oh, of course, Lady Hera. And lest you not forget who I am. I won't, your majesty. Elena waved her hand to dismiss Hera, and the bitter dowager grand concubine got on her feet, damning the emperor's mother to perdition. I like Lady Lila. Elena mentioned to her son over dinner that same night. She asked him to join her in the Sapphire Palace. The two were strangers and do not know much about each other. So many years had passed. Even for Elena, the little boy she left behind was now a man who she can't easily read. She is a commendable woman, Giroux said uncomfortably. He never felt at ease with Lila. She was the mother of his 3 dead sons and a daughter. Every one of those deaths hurt him and somehow drew him further apart from her. His visits to her chambers are perfunctory, and every month that passes and she didn't get pregnant was a relief to him. Lila could not take another miscarriage. I think she needs a promotion. Lila is intelligent and has gone through what I suspect to be foul play. She lost 4 of your children, Giroux, Elena said. 4 miscarriages was not normal at all. 4 is excessive. There is foul play involved, definitely, he agreed. What have you done about it? Elena asked. I have done countless investigations, all come out fruitless. The only conclusion is that the concubines are involved, but I have no clue as to which one it might be, he answered her honestly, feeling hopeless. Elena took a moment to drink her wine. In the imperial harem, backstabbing is the order of the day, but they never let information slip out because each and every one of them has tried to or actually managed to cause harm to the other. That is not the harem I remember growing up in, he murmured. No, because you got transferred to the imperial nursery, where you bonded with your siblings while the mothers fought over who will end up on the throne of Dumbria. We were only 3 boys in the nursery, he makes a by-the-way comment. Yes, much to the chagrin of your father. 8 daughters is not what he imagined to take the majority of his nursery. Elena chuckled at the old memory of her husband's face when he went to the nursery, and all he could see were little girls, and hardly any boys in sight. Now only the 3 boys are around in the marble palace. The girls all married off or dead. Why did you kill her? Giroux broached the subject for the first time. The smile on Elena's face dropped. Why do you want to drudge up the past? Because for the last 2 decades, I had to listen to what people assumed was the reason you killed her, and they got ridiculous with each passing year. I have been a loyal son to you. Do you remember what you told me before you left the marble palace that day many years ago? Always keep Thancred by your side, she repeated the words she said many years ago. And I did, never questioned why, even when whispers began that he might be my father, which is ridiculous as he has red hair while mine is dark like the previous emperor, not to mention the man is a eunuch. Elena smiled in amusement. It seems Hera perpetuated the rumors about Thancred after she left. Thancred is my father's bastard brother. My grandfather never cared much for him, but father loved his brother dearly. He is your great uncle. She explained the relationship. Thancred had been a father to her when her father had passed, was a shoulder she cried on when she first came to the palace at a young age as he was already serving here. The news was surprising to Giroux, but not so much. He was the only one in the marble palace that spoke with affection about his mother, and the old man was the most excited that she was coming back to the marble palace. You still haven't answered my question, he finally said. Elena released a breath. She tried to kill you, not once or twice, but 3 times. What others failed to mention is the fact that you had fallen violently ill after eating the biscuits she had made for you. I admit the bashing of her head near my bathtub was excessive, but I had been keeping vigil at your bedside for 3 days before you came about, after expelling all the poison from your system. I was relaxing for the first time when she came and started spilling venom. Remember, you had been partially paralyzed for a day when you came about, and she claimed you will not be able to sire children. She disturbed my bath with her venom and insulted you. It was natural that where she stood next to my bath was where she died. He didn't know that information. Why not tell father? And then what? As I told you earlier, the harem women have a way of resolving disputes without involving the emperor. A long-drawn silence ensued, mother and son consumed in their thoughts. It was Elena who broke the silence again. What is the position of the Irani woman? Giroux paused halfway eating, not knowing whether his mother will be hostile to Anya as well. Why do you ask? He was not oblivious to the names she was being called behind her back. I haven't met the woman, but no good things are heard about her. I am interested in her because she seems to have a grudge against Hira. Giroux also heard about the confrontation in the garden between the two women. He questioned Anya about it, and she shrugged it off, saying it was nothing. One thing he collected from the information was that it involved her dead brother, Lieutenant Webb. Anya has a confrontational way of speaking that may seem rude to Dunes, he defended her. I thought she was raised as a Dune. The director of Imperial Arts doesn't seem confrontational to me. An eccentric woman, yes, but not confrontational at all. Giroux released a deep breath. Anya is not a problem, she is my lover, that is it, he said point blank, and hoping the conversation will be done. A quiet moment passed. Lila will be made grand concubine tomorrow. A smile appeared on Elena's face. Wise choice. It still leaves the issue of an empress. In the natural order of things, it would be the highest-ranking concubine who will be made empress, which will mean it is Aenor for you. I can't have Aenor as empress. There are already too many Percivals around me. Elena chuckled. She thought her son hadn't noticed, but was glad he did. I will put out a call on all the noble families to bring their daughters for the selection. Not simpering Mrs. Mother, please, he told her sincerely. Not that he minded before. But being older, his perspective had changed. But yet your harem is half filled with such women, she remarked, surprised. Exactly. I want to meet your lover, Elena said cautiously. Giroux did not respond for some time, thinking what his mother sought from Anya. He was protective of her because she was the only woman who he picked for himself without outside suggestions, someone untainted from the world of family politics, and a brother or uncle who sought a promotion. All right, she will come to you tomorrow, he conceded. Maybe if his mother took an interest in her, she will not be as shunned. Elena was surprised her son agreed. He was famously protective of the woman. Would you like me to generate image prompts for Chapter 11?